LA. And I'm just checking out the diversity that's going on and different things that are bringing people here to the occupation. I ran across this lovely lady screaming about how her husband, some injustices that had happened to her husband. So I am going to let you explain.
My name is Michelle Yomtov. On my poster I have a picture of my darling Joe's Korean War Air Force picture. I lost him 2 years ago after 44 years of living with him as his honored wife, and literally it was an honor to be Joe's wife. Joe knew that he was going, and he said, when I go, be sure you call the VA right away. They'll take care of everything. We were naive. We didn't know that there are 4 criteria. The 4 criteria necessary for the government paying for even a casket is if you die as the result of a service-inflicted illness or injury, if you die while in active service, if you die while receiving veterans benefits of some kind, or if you pass in a veterans facility. Without one of those 4 criteria, the government pays for nothing until you reach the cemetery. I have a copy of what Mount Sinai mortuary charged me for the plainest Jewish burial possible. We are not supposed to have fancy funerals as Jews. A plain pine casket cost me $900. And $1,250 for what they call basic services. And I asked what basic services are. And the counselor said, well, sitting here talking to me about what has to be done, I said, there's no embalming, there's no wake. We don't even have pallbearers, not even a rabbi. The kindly Baptist minister across the street from us, Reverend Schultz, bless his heart, went and read from the Hebrew Bible. God bless him for that. $4,016 for the mortuary. All I'm asking is that every veteran with an honorable discharge receive a free casket if it's a plain pine box. A lot of non-Jews just want the plain pine box. They want the simplest casket. If the family wants something more elaborate, they can pay the difference. But all I'm asking for is that the government pay for every veteran with an honorable discharge to get a free casket or the equivalent of that towards the casket that the family wants, and free transportation of the remains from the place of demise over to the mortuary. I was charged $350 to take my darling Joe from Mount Sinai, to take Joe about 7 miles to Mount Sinai. And when he passed, it was 5:30 in the morning, and the first thing I did was call VA. And the VA representative couldn't even articulate the truth. He didn't mean to deceive me, but he was so uneducated in what was going on. He said, and I quote, we contract with every mortuary in the city, so it doesn't matter who you call, end quote. What does contract mean? That means that someone gives a service and someone pays for it. I thought that meant that the government would reimburse the casket and the basics. Since it was such a simple funeral, I thought that they would reimburse the basic services. I was wrong. It turned out when I got there that the lady said that it was a Sunday, so I couldn't talk. They transported him to Mount Sinai. But until the next day, I couldn't go and speak to anyone in the office. And when I did, the counselor said, oh no, the government reimburses us nothing unless it's one of those 4 criteria. So Riverside National Cemetery is the closest one that had any availability. So we had to wait till Wednesday. They were burying 30 people a day at Riverside. So we had to wait till Wednesday to bury my darling Joe. Thank God his family was able to help me with the expenses. If it hadn't been for that, we would have had to wait even longer. And we're supposed to bury within 24 hours. Well, it's not the government's fault that they were burying so many people. But it's the government's fault that a lot of people have to wait a lot longer until they can get the full. This is an atrocity. The fact that so many veterans are being buried speaks for how many we've lost. It speaks for how many men and women are responsible for you and I walking these streets free. You should not have to be indigent. You should not have to be down to your last penny in order to get home. This is like sending flowers just to stick to a plain pine casket and free transportation of the remains of the veteran to the mortuary. That's all I'm asking. We have no involvement because because we're not supposed to embalm. There was no wake. There was, like I said, not even pallbearers. Joe was pulled on a little catapult. This is a crime. There is a very humane Jewish mortuary by the name of Shever Kadisha, but I didn't know about Shever Kadisha at that time because when you're losing your darling, there's so many years. You don't go when you're shopping for prices on caskets and things like that. You just don't need to there. You don't say I'm going shopping for funeral prices. It doesn't come on you till the last minute. People can say all kinds of objective things, and they do this beforehand, do that, until you're watching your darling die with everything God could throw at him, including blindness from glaucoma. You don't realize you don't just go out and do these things. Does the government care? Why is it that when you're 79 years old, your time in the service is over, despite the fact that he helped to build a strategic air command base at Sidi Slamane, Morocco during the Korean War? None of that matters anymore. No, you're not an active service. You came home whole. You weren't getting veterans benefits, and you didn't die in one of our homes. I'm saying contact your congressman now. Do not send a petition, send individual letters. Contact your congressman or congresswoman. If you don't know who it is, call the public library, ask for the reference desk. Give them your address. They'll tell you the name and address and phone number and email, fax, everything that you need to know about contacting your Congress representative. Tell them they've received your vote for the last time until they pass this G.I. Joe bill. A free casket and free transfer of the remains from the place of demise to the mortuary. That would take about $1,200 off the price of these atrocious funeral bills. My congressman, Javier Becerra, yes, Mr. Becerra, I'm saying it publicly. You told me at Eagle Rock High School, when I went to see you with coffee with your congressman, you told me, you waved me off like this and said there's no money in the budget for it. After you spent 10 minutes praising GE for all the work it does for this country, for education, and defending their not paying income tax. Did you sleep well, Mr. Becerra?
Okay, so part of what gets me is we send young men and women overseas to fight in these wars. When they come home, they're mentally distraught. They've been through hell. And you see these young men and women after they get out of the service, we usually call them bums. They can't get jobs, their minds aren't the same, their emotions are all torn up. Is it really so hard to bury somebody who fought for our country? I mean, really. This is the mentality that we raise them to have.
We see people in their 60s and 70s who are mentally ill. We don't attribute that to the wars they fought so many years ago. Thank God my darling husband maintained this mentality of the sparkling diamond. But look at all the people who didn't. You know, there are a lot of men in their 70s and 80s who never got married because they were afraid that what they saw in Korea and Vietnam would stick with them and render them unfit husbands and fathers. We don't know, but the people, unfortunately, the people we are addressing, the people who are in a position to change, to at least marry every veteran with an honorable discharge with dignity and not make his family have to wallow, to beg for money for it. Those people don't know what it's like. Those people had the money to run for public office. Let's remember that if you're in public office, you had the machine.